So, have you ever really stopped to wonder what the core idea behind homeopathic healing is? It might not be what you think. Today, we're going to dig into the history and the fundamental law of nature that its founder, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, was convinced he'd discovered. To really get this, we got to go back in time. Picture it, the 18th century. And let me tell you, it was not a good time to get sick. The medical world was, frankly, a mess. Just a chaos of conflicting ideas and treatments that, honestly, were often way more dangerous than the diseases themselves. I mean, just look at this stuff. These were the common cures. We're talking about bloodletting, covering people in leeches, even surgically creating ulcers on purpose. And shotgun prescriptions, that's basically a doctor just mixing a bunch of random drugs together, hoping anything might work. It was a pretty desperate time, and people were crying out for a safer, more logical way to heal. And that's where our main character enters the story, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. Now, this guy was brilliant, a physician, a chemist, fluent in multiple languages. But he was just deeply, deeply troubled by what he saw happening in medicine. He saw the harm it was causing and just knew there had to be a better way. In fact, Hahnemann got so disillusioned that he actually quit practicing medicine. He famously said, "I have been putting drugs of which I know little into the bodies of which I know less." He just couldn't do it anymore. He couldn't risk hurting people with treatments he didn't believe in. So he walked away and started translating medical texts to support his family, all while searching for a true principle of healing. Now, Hahnemann wasn't looking for just another potion or procedure. No, he was looking for a law. A fundamental, observable law of nature. Something that, if you understood it, you could rely on it every time. And he believed he found it. This was his big discovery, the law of similars. You've probably heard the phrase for it, like cures like. The core idea is pretty simple, but profound. It says that any substance that can cause a specific set of symptoms in a healthy person can actually trigger a healing response for those very same symptoms in someone who's sick. Okay, I know that can sound a bit abstract, so Hahnemann used a great analogy from nature to explain it. Think about the planet Jupiter. At night, you can see its faint light, right? But what about at high noon? It's gone. Vanished. Why? Well, it's because the sun's light is a much, much stronger but similar force. It just completely overpowers and extinguishes Jupiter's weaker light. That's the principle. A stronger, similar force cancels out a weaker one. And this wasn't just a one-off thought. People had observed this pattern elsewhere, like how a nasty smell could be canceled out by sniffing snuff, a stronger, similar smell. Or famously, how cowpox, a similar but stronger disease, could prevent people from getting the much weaker but more deadly smallpox. You see the pattern, right? A stronger force overcoming a weaker, similar one. So how do you apply that to actually curing someone? Right. So if this law of similars exists in nature, how do you harness it to heal a person? This is where we get into the nuts and bolts, the actual modus operandi of the homeopathic cure. It's really thought of as a four-step process. First, you've got the natural disease. This is seen as a weaker force messing with the body. Second, you give a homeopathic remedy, one that's known to produce super similar symptoms. Third, that remedy creates a temporary but stronger artificial disease. Now, because this new force is both stronger and similar to the original illness, it just overrides and snuffs it out, just like the sun did to Jupiter's light. And finally, the best part, the artificial disease from the remedy is temporary. It just fades away, and what's left behind is, hopefully, a healthy person. So what is this force we keep talking about? Well, in homeopathy, it's called the vital force. Think of it like your body's own intelligent software or operating system. It's this dynamic, invisible power that's constantly working to keep you alive and in balance. So from this point of view, a disease isn't just a broken physical part. It's a glitch in the software, a disturbance of this vital force. And the homeopathic remedy is meant to act like a specific software patch, giving the system just the right nudge to correct itself. Okay, and this is where it gets really fascinating. According to this whole model, a real deep cure isn't a random event. Nope. It's supposed to follow a predictable pattern, a specific direction that a practitioner can actually watch happen. This set of observations was eventually written down as what's known as Herring's Law of Cure. You can think of it as a roadmap for genuine healing. So let's quickly break down what these directions actually mean. From above downwards is pretty literal. Arthritis in your shoulders might get better before the arthritis in your knees does. From within outwards is Absolutely key. It means your vital internal organs heal first, and the problem gets pushed out to less important places, like the skin. So, weirdly enough, a homeopath might be thrilled to see an old skin rash temporarily reappear because it could be a sign that a much deeper issue, like asthma, is finally resolving. And last, in the reverse order of appearance. This is like your body rewinding a tape. The newest symptom you developed goes away first, then the one before that, and so on. It's like the body is literally retracing its steps back to a state of health. So when you put all of this together, what you've got is a fundamentally different way of looking at health and disease. It really is a paradigm shift, moving from a purely material view to a dynamic one. Look at it this way. On one side, you have the conventional view, where disease is mostly a material problem, a germ, a chemical imbalance, damaged tissue. So the solution is also material, an antibiotic to kill the germ, a drug to fix the chemical, surgery to remove the tissue. But on the other side, the homeopathic view sees disease first and foremost as a dynamic problem, a disturbance in that vital force. So the goal isn't to just attack the end result, like a rash. The goal is to give a precise stimulus, that similar remedy, to help the vital force correct itself and find its own balance again. And this really leaves us with one final big question to think about. This isn't about which view is right or wrong. It's about the implications of the perspective itself. How might our entire approach to healing change if we started to view illness not just as a mechanical breakdown, but as an intelligent, dynamic disturbance in a living system? What does it truly mean to heal?